praises are Allah's, Lord of the worlds, and may His peace and blessings be upon our Master, the Holy Prophet Muhammad, and his pure immaculate Ahlul Bayt. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa ajal fajr. I would first like to express my gratitude to IIS for inviting me in such a holy night, in such a holy place, and it's an honor to be able to speak a few words with dear brothers and sisters like you. Inshallah, tonight I want to speak about the concept of Tamatholat, which in English I'll be translating as visions or apparitions. Tamatholat. Acquiring a good insight into Tamatholat may help one to understand the stories of the Quran in a better light, and also in relation to oneself and one's growth in spiritual wayfaring. Tamatholat can be regarded as a criterion. However, I will be mainly speaking about Tamatholat in relation to the Quranic stories, inshallah. The first story is in relation to Prophet Moses, Hazrat Musa alayhi salam. After spending 10 years in the city of Madian with Prophet Shu'aib, or Jethro, as he's called in the Holy Bible, he decided to move out and return to his hometown and reside with his mother, which was in Egypt. So he and his family and other companions, they all left on their way. Now, since he was cautious on his way to Egypt so that the Coptic soldiers of Pharaoh don't catch him on the way, he didn't go through the normal route during his travels. Assalamu alaikum. He took different diversions. And one night, he got lost on his way to Egypt. It was a very dark, rainy, cold night. And in addition to all the difficulties, his wife, who was Prophet Shu'aib's daughter, according to the Holy Bible, she's called Zipporah. She was pregnant and she started having labor pains. She was going into labor. Now all this was happening, and then suddenly Prophet Musa alayhi salam saw a fire upon the mountain. He saw a fire on the mountain. Now, there were many people around him, but only Musa alayhi salam saw the fire. Now, what was this fire? If it was the external fire that we see today, other people should have seen it too. But that wasn't the case here. Only Prophet Musa saw the fire. In chapter 20 verses 9 to 10, وَهَلْ أَتَاكَ حَدِيثُ مُوسَى إِذْ رَأَى نَارًا. Did the story of Moses reach you when he sighted a fire? فَقَالَ لِأَهْلِهِ أُمْكُثُوا إِنِّي آنَسْتُ نَارًا. And he said to his family, wait, indeed I see a fire. I descry a fire. I've caught sight of something here. لَعَلِّي آتِيكُم مِّنْهَا بِقَبَسٍ أَوْ أَجِدُ عَلَى النَّارِ هُدًى. Maybe I will bring you from the fire a brand, or find some guidance at the fire. Well, the external prima facie meaning of the verse, the second part of it, is, okay, I'll get the fire and it will help us in our journey throughout the night. or it will make you warm during labor. But esoterically, maybe it's referring to what was to come in relation to guidance. And this Huda, he mentioned the verse, was to be the commencement of his prophethood. But there was no external fire though. So what was that thing? What did he see that no one else around him had the capacity to see? Since that thing people weren't able to see it with the physical eye, it wasn't a material fire. It must have been something else. If it was a material fire, other people would have been able to see it with their physical eyes. But this wasn't the case. Only Musa alayhi salam saw it. What Hazrat Musa alayhi salam saw, we call a tamathul, a vision, an apparition. We all have tamatholat. Everyone in this room has had visions and apparitions. We've all had them. But we've had them during sleep. Here, Prophet Musa was awake. He was fully conscious. He had those visions whilst awake. We usually have these visions when we're asleep. On sleep, we enter higher realms of existences. One is barzakh, for example, translated as isthmus. Higher than barzakh is the realm of the intellect, and there are higher and higher realms of existences until one reaches Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Al-Bursi, who was a famous mystic, quotes a verse from the Holy Bible and translates it into Arabic, saying, ظَاهِرُكَ لِلْفَنَا. Our external side, our external dimension is to be destroyed. وَبَاطِنُكَ, but inside, the essence of what we are, ana, is I. Allah is saying this, according to the Holy Bible. Our destiny is to Allah ultimately. That's the goal. In this journey, we transcend many realms of existences. We do it during our sleep. It's very easy to spiritually elevate during sleep. Why? Because we become detached from all worldly tendencies. We're asleep. We become disconnected from the worldly life because we're asleep. The key to be able to disconnect oneself and not occupy the heart with other than Allah, the key to spiritual wayfaring is to do this. To not occupy the heart with other than Allah. Having a big car, a big house, these are okay as long as it doesn't occupy the heart. You don't become detached. When we sleep, we transcend into the higher realms. We all go to barzakh, we all go to alam aql, the realm of the intellect, where the angels are. In barzakh, we've all dreamt. The world of barzakh is the world of dreams. What we see when we dream, that's the realm of barzakh. People asked Prophet Ibrahim, can you give us a sign in relation to Qiyamah? Then Allah made people start dreaming. The world of dreams is the world of barzakh. We eat, we speak, we do all things there, but it's not a material realm of existence. It's immaterial. There's shape, there's size, there's color, but there's no matter in barzakh. We even transcend to the realm of the intellect. And that's where the angels are. That's where heaven and hell is, the realm of the intellect. In barzakh too, there's a heaven and hell, but there's a heaven and hell in every realm of existence. Ayatollah Hasanzadeh Amuli, Hafadhahullah, said technically, the definition of a dream is the unveiling, is the kashf that we do in alam aql, in the realm of the intellect. That's called a dream. But then one of the faculties of the soul, on descending to earth, one of the faculties of the soul converts that abstract data which one unveiled in the realm of intellect into pictures. For example, you see, your sister has passed away. The data from the realm of the intellect was that this woman will bear a child. When that data becomes converted into pictures, it becomes translated as she passing away. It's very difficult to interpret dreams. Not anyone can do it. Or you're drinking milk. You're not dreaming of drinking milk. The dream is that data which you unveiled in the realm of the intellect. That's the dream. The data was an increase in sustenance. But then that became converted into a set of pictures. You drinking milk. It's easy to transcend to higher realms of existences when you're asleep, because you're cut off from the worldly life when you're asleep. Now, the more sincere the heart is, the less contaminated the heart is, the more accurate that conversion from that abstract data to the pictures will be. But an impure heart will convert that abstract data, but the images won't be truly reflective of the abstract data. In any case, during sleep, we all have tamatholat. Who produces the tamatholat? You do. It's a function of the soul, of the nafs. When you dream all those pictures, all those images, you are the producer. It's all about you and your actions being manifested in a specific way. Barzakh is like the world of dreams. Don't think that since it's like dreams, it's not real. In the logic of the verses of the Quran is that this world is described as a mirage, kasarab. But anna dar al-akhirah lahiyal hayawan. That's the true life, the hereafter. The hereafter is true life. And it starts on physical death. إذا مات الإنسان فهو في قيامته. A tradition we have with something like that. Qiyamat starts on death. Barzakh is a minor qiyamah, and then there's a major qiyamah, but qiyamah starts on death. Now, if you undergo a certain pattern of spiritual wayfaring, you can undergo barzakh whilst awake. You don't have to die. You don't have to be asleep. You can undergo whilst being awake. You can have those apparitions. You can have those visions. but it requires a certain etiquette of spiritual wayfaring. Some people in this world, they undergo their barzakh, they undergo their heaven, they see even higher realms than heaven. Whilst in this world, for most of us it's after physical death, but these people transcend all these realms whilst awake in this world. So, Hazrat Musa alayhi salam saw a fire. No one else saw it. Hazrat Musa, whilst awake, he was able to ascend the different realms of existences, including higher than the realm of the intellect. That abstract data of those higher realms became converted into barzakhi pictures, and the result was a fire. Just like when we see a fire in our dreams, he would see a fire, but he was awake because his iman was high. He was awake. He was only occupied with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this world. Other than Allah never preoccupied his heart. He saw the visions. He saw the apparitions. Now, why was it fire though? Okay, first of all, what was that abstract data in relation to, and why did it appear as fire? Some scholars have said that the pictures were reflective of the status quo that Hazrat Musa was in at the time. Deep down, during that journey of Hazrat Musa, we said it was cold, rainy, dark, snowy. His wife was in the process, of labor. The fire, which his soul converted that abstract data into the barzakhi vision of fire, may be reflective of his inner status quo, because he was in urgent need of warmth, of being guided at night, providing warmth for the family, and so on and so forth. Maybe, some scholars have suggested that. But in the verse which I read, it said there may be guidance at the fire. Okay, the external prima facie meaning is evident, but esoterically, maybe it's referring to the commencement of his prophethood. Guidance here is guidance of the Ummah by means of him as a holy prophet. Then he went up the fire. He went up the mountain, and in chapter 20, verse 12, Inni ana rabbuk, he suddenly heard this voice. What this voice too? If me and you were there, we wouldn't have heard it. This too was a tamathul, an apparition. Inni ana rabbuk fakhla'na alayk innaka bil wadi al muqaddasi tuwa. Indeed, I am your Lord, so take off your sandals. You are indeed in the sacred valley of Tuwa. Now, Imam Khomeini rahmatullah alayh, on this verse, he's written on some of the esoteric dimensions of this verse. So he went up the mountain and he did take off his sandals. We don't negate the prima facie meaning of this verse. No one is rejecting that. But all verses have esoteric dimensions. Imam says, and I've translated this from one of his works, it's in relation to the clause, so take off your sandals. What does that mean? If you want to read the Holy Quran stories as a book of history, you will lose out. after a whole lifetime, you'll see you've lost out. You've treated the Quran as a book of history, and that's the minimum. All these stories are in relation to your spiritual wayfaring. They want to build you, build your soul, to reach Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when you read, so take off your sandals, there must be some more depths involved here. In Imam's works, he would always go into the esoteric dimensions, the butun. But when someone reads Imam's works like 40 Hadith, Adab-e-Namaz, these different books, every time Imam wants to enter the esoteric dimensions, he always says, maybe this is the esoteric dimension. Maybe the butun is this. Because a ma'soom can only enter the butun of the Holy Quran. Entering the butun isn't tafsir. It's more on a par with ta'weel, esoteric interpretation. And it's unproblematic to make an effort and endeavor and try to strive through the verses of the Quran, extracting the esoteric dimension. It's okay. Many people can see the realities of the Quran. When they read the Quran, they see the realities. When they read about the story of Pharaoh and Musa and the segregation of the sea, they see it. They see Tamatholat, apparitions of what's happening. They gain a very deep insight into stories of the Quran. They have visions of the stories of the Quran. But Imam would always say, maybe this will happen, maybe this will happen. Imam, maybe, Imam, he's spoken a lot on what will happen to Egypt, for example, what will happen to Saddam, what will happen to Aghay Khamenei when the first assassination attempt on his life, Aghay Khamenei's life was made. Imam made a very important comment. These things suggest that on many of these incidents, Imam had those visions of what is to be. There are many examples of this. Maybe Imam had those visions. Well, I personally am not of a level, to say what Imam had or didn't have. But these things are possible. It's very unhealthy though to say that this person has this vision, this person has it. That's not a very healthy approach, because people can be very easily misled. But it is possible. That's all I want to say. It is possible for people to live in this world, awake and have these visions and apparitions, because the realm of the intellect is timeless. There's no time there. If you enter that realm, once the data there becomes converted into barzakhi pictures, you will acquire knowledge of the future. These are possible. It's just that even those who acquire such abilities, they usually don't disclose it to people, and that's a true sign of an arif. Anyway, Imam wrote that, so take off your sandals. That's the operative clause here. Imam said, one must acknowledge that the thorns along one's way to one's religious destination, the thorns along one's way when one wants to reach Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is that of love of the world and love of the ego. Prophet Moses, with his station of prophethood and ma'rifah, when hastening towards uniting with his beloved, the call, so take off your sandals, you are indeed in the sacred valley of Tawar, prohibited him from having love with respect to his wife and child. Yes, if you intend to enter the valley of love, which belongs to the holy and mukhlasin, you cannot do so whilst having love of others in your heart. This was said to Moses whose minimal love is not like the excessive love we have in relation to other than Allah. And maybe that's why the expression sandals was employed, i.e. being the lowest part of the body and the most easy to detach from. Because the sandals is the lowest part of the body and it's most easy to detach yourselves from. But this is the station of the mukhlasin. Many people may be mukhlis, where their actions are done out of sincerity for Allah's sake. We all have a degree of ikhlas within us. However, only the minority are mukhlas. Because with the mukhlas, even if you're 100% mukhlis, this is your ultimate line, your ultimate slogan. You say that I commit X action for the sake of Allah sincerely. That's what you will say for every action. But this sentence itself is a form of shirk. You're a mukhlis, but at the same time you're a mushrik too. But not shirk of the open, disclosed type. It's the hidden, concealed type of shirk, where Allah's ibadah is compromised. When you occupy your heart with other than Allah, in action to action, moment to moment. And that's why in chapter 1206, the verse of the Holy Quran explicitly says that most of you who believe, most of you are mushriks. Mushriks of the hidden type, the concealed type. Why? Because you say, I commit this action for the sake of Allah. First of all, you recognize the I, the ego is still there. Then you attribute the action with yourself. You're not truly annihilated in Allah yet. You don't have that fana'ul af'ali, where all actions you see emanating from Allah alone. You say, I did this action for the sake of Allah. I don't want to speak too much about the mukhlasin here, because that's a different subject. But the mukhlasin is a very strong station, very lofty level. Now, during these few nights, we're approaching the end of the first 10 days of the holy month of Dhul Hijjah. These 10 days are very significant. And these 10 days are reflective of the story of Musa alayhi salam. But this wasn't at the beginning of his prophethood when he went up the mountain. This was many years later, when he went up the mountain and he fasted for 40 days and 40 nights. It wasn't like how we fast. The Sharia then was a different form. But he fasted for 40 days and for 40 nights. So for 40 complete days, he wouldn't eat or drink. Some people think that's very difficult, and it is difficult for us. But I always give this example. When a man and woman, before they want to marry, and let's say the preceding last few days before they want to marry, the love is very great between them.